Owner of a shipping company, 61-year-old Captain Kurt Buchholz made headlines when he set up a rival ferry operator to the steam packet. Can I ask you first of all, is that what inspired you to stand originally when you stood in South Douglas?
No, I have to say what I mentioned already several times before. I was interested in politics since I came to the Isle of Man. I was interested in politics before when I lived in Germany, but here on the Isle of Man, when you live in a place, you naturally have to be interested in what is going on. And it had nothing to do with setting up a shipping company or rival shipping company. So I was generally interested in politics.
Tell us a bit about your background.
Yeah, I had a career at sea. I made it through the ranks to the captain's position. And then at a certain time, the shipping company, the German shipping company, asked me to go ashore and work in their ship management office here on the Isle of Man. And this is how I came to the Isle of Man, and this is why I stayed here then.
Now, you say in your manifesto, we need to get back on course. It's a slight pun, obviously, but you mean that. How do we achieve that?
Yeah, it's a term from shipping. When you are on the bridge and you check your position of the vessel and you think something is not right here, then you say we have to get back on course now if you're beside the course line. And if you transfer that or translate that into politics, you could clearly see that we are off course beside all the statements from the government where they give all these heroic statements. We are world-class providers of any sort, or the economy is thriving, and when we look out here and we look at the reality, it's very different. So there is a difference between what the government thinks is the right course line and where we actually are.
How far off it are we then, do you think?
Yeah, I think we're on a collision course with a cliff.
Okay, so how would you get us back on course?
Yeah, I think we have to see how we got to this position. I think we got to this position when the government makes statements and says we are running out of money in a certain time. When we look around how the standard of living goes down, the cost of living are going up. It's the transport to the Isle of Man that is extremely expensive, and I guess you will come to that one later regarding the steam packet. And gas prices are going up. Everything is going up, and the government tries to take out of the pocket of the people here a pound, there a pound. And if you add this all up, you can clearly see they try to close the holes that they created in their budget.
So we lost the VAT money. That was a big blow to the Isle of Man. Where does the money come from? How do we claw back money? As you say, we can't take a pound here and a pound there. What do we do?
Yeah, maybe I can give you one example. What happened in the 1990s or 1989? We had two countries, both were called Germany. We had East and West Germany. And in East Germany, the industry and the whole country was suffering quite tremendously. So what happened when the wall came down? First, West Germany had to invest a lot of money into the infrastructure. So when you have the right infrastructure, then the business is coming and you can build on that one. That means we had to build roads, highways, communication systems, airports, everything that you needed in the city, shopping centers. So, and you have to allocate certain spaces where this kind of business that is interested in coming has the chance to operate in a proper way. And we don't have this here. I know that people were saying, can we not have a shopping center on the green field outside of Douglas? Because we can't park anywhere down in the center, and the center is completely run down beside the Strand Street now, where they put some new slabs on the ground. But that's very important. We need the right infrastructure, and that's what we have to look at here as well. If the infrastructure is not right, we wouldn't have the banks. If we have no proper internet connections, we wouldn't have the insurance companies and banks. We wouldn't have online betting. All these kind of things are possible because we have a certain type of infrastructure for those businesses. But other businesses that we need here to increase the income through tax, we don't have.
So what do we do then to raise more income? Put income tax up?
No, I think there are various steps. I mean, I have not always a perfect solution, but I think there are various steps what people or the government can do. First, we have to see what can we do different to the European Union. We are surrounded by the European Union, but we are not a member. We are a little crown dependency, and the crown dependency cannot try to do exactly the same what they are doing in Europe, because we, for example, have no access to funding. If you look at very poor or weak areas in the UK or in Ireland, those areas are not suffering as much as we suffer because they get funding from the European Union. So if we say we have the same laws, the same standards for clean water and all this, which I support definitely, it all costs money, but we do not have funding from outside. So we have to see what we actually are. We are a small island with 80,000 people, and based on what we have to make our funds, and not with these high-flying ideas. We are the fourth biggest space nation in the world. I mean, sometimes it makes me laugh when I read this information, and I think a lot of people do exactly the same, and that's what I hear when I walk around canvassing.
So you don't think that puts us on the global map then, that sort of thing?
What do you mean? In which
way?
The
space thing, for example.
Yeah, we have no space. We're not the fourth biggest space nation. This is complete nonsense. I mean, we had a shuttle that was in Ramsey, and it didn't leave through space. It left through a ferry, the Isle of Man. So that's what we can see.
Okay. Are we overgoverned in the Isle of Man? It's a point you make in your manifesto. Review staff levels, merge government departments.
When I go around and knock on people's doors, there are a lot of people who work for the government, and I hear quite often the same things. They say, we are not happy with the way how the government works. There is a lot of work that is done, duplicated, triplicated. People are filling out forms, and there's no common sense in there. And when they make proposals to improve something, it is ignored. So you can see we have a management problem in the government. The management is run from the top. In shipping, you say the fish starts to stink from the head. So here, the people who are responsible, and it starts with the chief minister, and then the ministers, and then the MHKs, and then all the people in the government. They are led and they are instructed by the top management, so to say, the government. And if that is not working efficiently and is incompetent, you have the situation that we have here. So
reduce the number of civil servants.
Yeah,
politicians.
I think this is the feedback I get, that we are that our government is too bureaucratic. We have too many people. Now, I'm not really a supporter of going somewhere and saying, oh, we have to reduce the staff by 30%. In a lot of companies, this is done by managers when they get a new CEO in to rescue the company. Here, if I would be the chief minister, I would not fire suddenly 30% of the people. So you have to go through the management system and see how efficient are we and whom do we not need.
What are the concerns that people are raising with you now?
Yeah, just what I mentioned. It's mainly financial, and the difficult situation we have that the government tries to get out of the people's pocket here a pound and there a pound, and it adds up to a quite significant amount of money. They're concerned about that one. A lot of people are concerned about what happens directly in front of their doors. They cannot get proper parking space, or when I was talking to nurseries, they say the people cannot even drop their kids off when they stop here for half a minute in front of the door because the police is told to put tickets on their cars. So I think there are a lot of things which we can solve very easily with the signature of a minister. But if a minister says, oh, I want to be a minister, let's say for Department of Infrastructure, and then he has to make decisions, let's say how the prom should look like, and then he does not make a decision, that man should not be a minister. A minister has to make a decision, and he has not put out his possible decisions to the public and say, what do you all think? And then he chooses the best idea. And if the ideas are rejected or somebody is critical, then he says, okay, we come up with a new idea, and he employs a big group of people spending a lot of money for this investigation, how to set up the prom. And that is where all the people are concerned about. High costs, bad economy, and bad conditions of living. And the ferry service here to the UK, the prices. It is so expensive. It's sometimes, especially for cargo, 4 times more than what people are paying from the UK to Ireland, and that is double the distance.
So finally, then, on transport, what do you want to see happen there?
Yeah, my proposal is that. Not my proposal. What I think needs to happen is everything that the government gives out as a contract has to go through a public tender process. It cannot be agreed behind closed doors. So a public tender process will ensure that the company that gives the best offer in the interest of the Isle of Man will get the job, and we can get rid of this monopoly. Monopolies are never working in no country. So the way how we can get away of monopolies with shipping, gas, electricity is only when we set up something like a corporation. It's called public-private partnership, PPP. So that means the public is involved with the government, a private company is involved, and it is a kind of service that affects us all. So this is how it has to work, and you cannot give a monopoly away in the way how we have done this with the steam packet, that is abusing the monopoly. Sorry.